What if I told you that not knowing how you're wired is the reason you keep making the same mistakes over and over again, even when you know better? Most people go through life operating themselves like a complex machine they've never read the manual for. They press random buttons, hope for the best, and then get frustrated when things don't work the way they expected. But your mind isn't a mystery that can't be solved. It has patterns, triggers, and operating principles that you can learn to understand. Think about how much time you spend learning to use your phone, your car, or even your coffee machine. You read instructions, watch tutorials, and practice until you can operate them efficiently. But when it comes to understanding your own psychology, most people just wing it their entire lives. This creates a massive problem. Without understanding how you work, you end up making the same types of mistakes repeatedly. You choose the wrong partners for the same psychological reasons. You self sabotage in similar ways across different areas. You get triggered by the same types of situations over and over again. Here's what happens when you don't know yourself. You make decisions based on surface level wants instead of deeper needs. You might think you want a high stress job because it pays well, but if you don't understand your psychological need for stability, you'll be miserable regardless of the money. You also can't predict your own reactions. Without knowing your triggers, you walk into situations that are guaranteed to bring out your worst responses. You can't prepare for challenges because you don't know what specifically challenges you or why. Perhaps most importantly, you can't distinguish between your authentic desires and the ones that come from old programming. You might spend years pursuing goals that don't actually fulfill you because you never took the time to understand what fulfillment means for your specific psychological makeup. But when you do understand how you're wired, everything changes. You start making choices that actually work for your personality instead of against it. You can predict which environments will energize you and which will drain you. You understand why certain people trigger you and can prepare different responses. You become incredibly efficient with your energy because you're not fighting your natural tendencies anymore. Instead of trying to force yourself to be someone you're not, you learn to work with your existing strengths and manage your natural challenges. This self knowledge also makes you much better in relationships. When you understand your own patterns, you can communicate your needs clearly instead of expecting others to guess. You can take responsibility for your triggers instead of making others responsible for managing your emotions. You also become much more compassionate toward yourself. Instead of beating yourself up for recurring struggles, you understand them as predictable patterns that can be worked with. This removes so much unnecessary self criticism and shame. The process of understanding yourself isn't complicated, but it does require honest observation. You need to pay attention to patterns in your behavior, your emotional responses, your energy levels, and your decision making. You need to get curious about why you do what you do instead of just judging it as good or bad. Start by noticing what consistently energizes you versus what drains you. Pay attention to what types of conflicts you repeatedly find yourself in. Observe what you do when you're stressed versus when you're relaxed. Look at the themes in your relationships and career choices. This kind of self awareness is like having a roadmap for your own life. Instead of wandering around hoping you'll stumble onto happiness and success, you can make informed decisions about what's likely to work for you specifically. The people who seem to have their lives figured out aren't necessarily smarter or more talented. They've just invested time in understanding their own operating system. And that understanding allows them to make choices that create the results they actually want. If this is sparking your curiosity about understanding yourself better, subscribe for more insights into how your mind works. Share this with someone who's ready to stop repeating old patterns and start making choices that actually fit who they are.